believer that charity begins at home and then it spreads. And then I forgot that part. And so I contributed to the distance in our relationship.
Y'all, what if the man you built your entire life around was living a completely different life behind your back? Not just cheating, not just lying, a full, double life, multiple women, different cities, hidden relationships. And the most gut-wrenching part? One of those women was inside her home, around her children, on her peril. We're talking about Tina Campbell, gospel royalty, faith icon, one half of the perfect couple the whole world looked up to. But behind those stage smiles and those worship songs, her husband Teddy was destroying everything. And when the truth finally came out, Tina didn't just cry. She snapped. She destroyed 3 cars. She planned an attack. She didn't recognize herself anymore. A woman of God, pushed to her absolute darkest place. But here's where it gets even more shocking. She forgave him. She stayed. She fought for that marriage with everything she had. 20 years of love. 20 years of faith. 20 years of trying. And what did she get in return? He filed for divorce. And then had the audacity, the absolute nerve, to demand spousal support from the woman he destroyed. Y'all, this story will make your blood boil. Because some people don't just break your heart. They break your soul. And Tina Campbell is finally telling all of it.
Found out about it when we were taping the show.
Yeah.
The world saw what Tina and Teddy Campbell wanted them to see. 2 people, 1 mission, 1 God, 1 love. They stood on stages together. They sang together. They prayed together. They built an empire together, Mary Mary, gospel royalty, a brand that represented faith, family, and everything holy. Audiences watched them and thought, this is what love is supposed to look like. And Tina believed it too. She had no reason not to. She had given this man everything. Her youth, her career, her identity, her loyalty. When you build something with someone from the ground up, when you pray with them, struggle with them, cry with them, grow with them, you stop questioning them. You just trust. And that trust? That's exactly what he used against her. But somewhere underneath the surface, something was shifting. Small things at first. The kind of things you notice, but convince yourself mean nothing. A phone flipped face down. A conversation that stopped the moment she walked into the room. A distance that had no explanation. Tina felt it. That quiet, creeping feeling that something was wrong, but she couldn't name it. Couldn't prove it. Couldn't hold it in her hands. So she did what millions of women do. She questioned herself. Am I imagining this? Am I being paranoid? Is this my insecurity talking? She pushed it down. She prayed over it. She kept showing up to the marriage, to the ministry, to the cameras, to the world. Smiling. Performing. Pretending everything was fine.
The fact that I've been a contentious wife the entire time I've been married to him, I'm sitting up here running around being...
I just kept thinking, maybe it's me. Maybe I'm the problem. Because he never gave me a straight answer, he just made me feel crazy for asking. Because that's what gaslighting does. It doesn't just make you doubt your partner. It makes you doubt your own mind. And Teddy had mastered it. Every time Tina got close to the truth, every time her gut screamed that something was deeply wrong, he would smile. Reassure her. Flip it back on her. And she would retreat. Back into silence. Back into faith. Back into the version of their life she had built in her head. The gospel power couple. The perfect marriage. The unshakable team. Except, it was all a lie. Behind the stage lights and the Sunday morning performances, Teddy Campbell was living a completely different life. Not just one secret. Not just one mistake. A systematic, calculated, ongoing double life. Multiple women. Across multiple cities. Hidden with precision. Maintained with effort. This wasn't a slip. This wasn't a moment of weakness. This was a choice, made over and over and over again, while Tina stood beside him calling him her husband. And the cruelest part? One of those women wasn't a stranger. She wasn't someone from a different city or a different world. She was close. Dangerously close. Someone Tina had welcomed into her space. Into her home. Around her children. Someone she trusted.
I got love. I don't need the other kind of love. I'm fine, at least for a little while. You know what I mean? Because I got her. You know what I mean? And so
I'll
he
check
was
in
just...
with you next month.
When you find out it's someone that close, it's not just betrayal anymore. It changes everything you thought you knew. Every memory, every conversation, every single moment suddenly means something different. And that realization, that moment when the entire foundation of your life shifts beneath your feet, that's where Tina Campbell found herself. Not on a stage, not in a spotlight, alone, shattered, holding a truth so ugly, she didn't know if she could survive it. And she almost didn't. There are moments in life when the truth stops hiding. Not because someone confesses, not because someone slips up, but because the truth gets too big to contain anymore. And in Tina Campbell's story, that moment came from the most unexpected direction. Not from Teddy, not from a stranger, from someone who had been watching, Quietly, carefully. Someone close enough to see what Tina couldn't bring herself to see. A friend. While Tina was busy holding her marriage together with faith and silence, this friend was paying attention. The patterns, the behavior, the inconsistencies, things that didn't add up, things that a person on the outside could see clearly, because they weren't drowning in denial. And this friend made a decision. Not to confront, not to speculate, not to gossip, but to know, for certain, with proof. 6 months. That's how long the investigation ran. 6 quiet, methodical, devastating months. Phone patterns tracked, movements documented, hidden appointments noted, connections mapped. Piece by piece, a picture started forming. And the picture was ugly.
The person who it was, she used to work for me, and so that broke my heart. She was like a godmother to my children.
I didn't want to believe it either. Nobody wants to bring that kind of news to someone they love. But I couldn't unsee what I was seeing. And I couldn't let her keep living in the dark. When the friend finally came forward, when she sat Tina down and laid everything out, it didn't feel like relief. It didn't feel like clarity. It felt like the floor disappearing beneath her feet. Because it wasn't just one thing. It wasn't a single mistake wrapped in a single confession. It was everything. Layers upon layers upon layers of deception, carefully constructed, deliberately maintained, running parallel to their entire life together. Multiple women, different cities, separate worlds, all happening while Tina was on stage beside him, while she was raising their children, while she was building their ministry, while she was loving him. But the detail that broke something permanent inside her wasn't the distance of it. It was the closeness. One of these women wasn't a stranger living in another city. She had been inside Tina's home, sitting at her table, interacting with her children, collecting a paycheck from them, an employee, a trusted face, someone Tina had personally welcomed into her world. That kind of betrayal doesn't just hurt, it rewires you, because suddenly every memory becomes a crime scene. Every dinner, every conversation, every moment that felt normal had a lie buried underneath it. Every time that woman smiled at Tina, she knew. Every time Teddy stood beside his wife on that stage, he knew. And Tina, faithful, devoted, unsuspecting Tina, was the only one in the room who didn't.
And he was like, Tina wants to know, and da-da-da-da-da. And I said, are you sleeping with my husband? And she hung.
It's one thing to be cheated on. It's another thing entirely when it's been that calculated, that close, that long. Because then you realize it was never a mistake. It was a decision. Every single day. And that word settled over Tina like ash. Decision. Not a weakness. Not a moment. Not an accident. A conscious, repeated, deliberate decision. To deceive her. To use her. To look her in the eyes every single morning. And she's the lie. The investigation was over. The truth was out. But for Tina Campbell, the real destruction was only just beginning. There is a particular kind of pain that has no name. Not grief. Not anger. Not heartbreak. Something underneath all of those things. Something that reaches into the deepest part of who you are and pulls. That is what Tina Campbell experienced the moment the full truth landed. Not a piece of it. Not a rumor. Not a suspicion. The whole thing. Laid out in front of her. Undeniable. Unavoidable. Complete. And something inside her broke. Not the kind of breaking that heals quickly. Not the kind you cry through for a night and wake up from the next morning. This was structural. The kind of breaking that happens when everything you built your identity around, your marriage, your faith in another person, your understanding of your own life, gets exposed as fiction. 20 years. 20 years of memories. 20 years of sacrifice. 20 years of choosing him, trusting him, defending him, loving him. And in one conversation, all of it became evidence of how completely she had been deceived.
I picked up the phone, so I had my answer. So it broke my heart. I destroyed 3 cars. I cut up and crashed up and tried to stab and plotted murders and all kind of crazy stuff because I was angry.
I couldn't process it all at once. My brain just wouldn't let me. Because if I accepted all of it at the same time, what it meant, how long it had been going on, how close it was, I think something in me would have just shut down completely. But the mind can only protect you for so long. And when the shock wore off, what replaced it was something Tina herself described as terrifying. Not sadness. Rage. Raw, consuming, uncontrollable rage. The kind that doesn't sit quietly. The kind that doesn't pray itself away. The kind that takes over your hands and your voice and your vision until you are no longer recognizable, even to yourself. This was not the Tina Campbell the world knew. The woman who stood on stages and sang about grace. The woman who spoke about forgiveness and faith. The woman who smiled through everything. That woman was gone. What was left in her place was someone operating on pure devastation. She destroyed 3 cars. Not metaphorically. Not in a moment of throwing something and walking away. 3 cars. Physically destroyed. She planned an attack. She later admitted she mapped out exactly how she would hurt him, thought it through, came terrifyingly close. And the woman she had always been, the one rooted in faith, in discipline, in God, could not find her footing. Because that woman had been built on a foundation that no longer existed. People talk about betrayal like it is an emotional event. Like it hurts your feelings, breaks your heart, makes you cry. But what happened to Tina Campbell was not emotional. It was psychological demolition. Because when someone you have loved and trusted completely turns out to be a carefully constructed lie, you don't just lose them. You lose your own judgment. You lose your ability to trust what you see, what you feel, what you know. You lose the version of yourself that existed inside that relationship. And you are left standing in the wreckage of a life that was never quite real. Holding pieces that don't fit together anymore.
He said, if you don't, I'm gonna get you back.
Yeah, I'll make this up to you.
He said,
I broke it.
If you divorce me, I'm gonna pursue you till I get you back.
Yeah, I did tell her.
And I was like,
I didn't recognize who I was becoming. And that scared me more than anything he had done. Because I had always known who I was. My faith, my values, my identity, those were solid. And suddenly none of it felt solid anymore. I was someone I had never met before. The darkness that followed was not quiet. It was loud and violent and relentless. Sleepless nights that stretched into sleepless weeks. Thoughts she had never had before and couldn't make stop. A grief so heavy it had physical weight. People around her watched and worried. Because this wasn't just a woman going through a difficult time. This was a woman at the edge of something. And nobody, not her family, not her friends, not even Tina herself, knew if she was going to pull back from it. And through all of it, Teddy was still there. Still in the house. Still in the marriage. Still present in the physical sense of the word. But Tina would later describe living beside him in those early weeks as something unbearable. Looking at his face and seeing the lie. Hearing his voice and hearing the deception woven into every word she had ever believed. Every moment of tenderness, re-examined. Every prayer they had prayed together, contaminated.
I felt too condemned because of all my mistakes. Because I didn't get the last test right. Because I was not an honorable wife to my husband because he pissed me.
There were moments I looked at him and felt absolutely nothing. And then moments where I felt everything all at once, so much that I couldn't breathe. There was no in between. There was no peace. Just this constant, unbearable war inside me. That war had no clean ending. No moment where the pain stopped and the healing began. No morning where she woke up and knew which direction she was going. Just the weight of a decision that was getting harder to avoid. Stay or go. And for a woman who had lost everything she thought she knew about herself, that choice felt less like a decision and more like a final test of whether anything was left of her at all. Y'all, let that sink in for a second. This woman gave him 20 years. 20 years of loyalty, forgiveness, faith, and fight. She stayed when every instinct told her to run. She forgave what most people wouldn't even survive hearing. She rebuilt herself from absolute nothing just to keep that marriage alive. And he filed for divorce. He walked away. After everything he put her through. After the double life. After the women. After the employee in her own home. After watching Tina completely shatter and somehow find the strength to still choose him, he packed up and left. And then had the audacity to ask for spousal support from the woman he destroyed. Let that sit with you. The man who cheated. The man who lied. The man who ran a secret life across multiple cities while his wife stood beside him on stage singing about faith. That man wants financial support. From her. This is not just a celebrity story. This is not gossip for entertainment. This is a woman who did everything right and still got burned to the ground by the one person who was supposed to protect her. And while Tina was drowning in divorce proceedings, her sister Erica was on social media celebrating 25 years of marriage. The internet exploded. The timing was brutal. The contrast was devastating. And somehow that made everything even more painful to watch. Tina Campbell gave that marriage everything she had. And what she got back was humiliation dressed up as love. So here is the real question, and we need you to answer this honestly in the comments right now. Can a marriage actually survive this level of betrayal? Or is some damage just too deep to come back from? Because Tina tried, and it still wasn't enough. Drop your thoughts below. And if this story hit different, you already know what to do.